Hello guys! Today is the 19th of March and the trans rights readathon started 2 days ago, I think. And this year is actually my first year that I am aware of this readathon in time to actually participate, which I'm really excited for. I think it's such an important topic to bring awareness to. And if you don't know what trans rights readathon is about and how to participate, I will leave links down below with resources. But in this video, I will be reading 2 books for this readathon. I will also put some recommendations at the end of the video if you are looking for some inspiration. And I will be starting this video with Mortal Follies. I've actually had this book for so long, but it never felt like the right time to read it. And with spring right around the corner, I am finally ready to dive in because this is more of a romantasy kind of situation. It's sapphic, it's kind of a Regency-esque world, which I'm really intrigued to see how that's gonna play out. So without further ado, let's get started. Interestingly, this is narrated by like a third person. It's like a fairy or fae, which makes for interesting observations to be made. And obviously she also has her own opinions about it. So it's kind of like we have this source of information that we don't really know how to trust because she's not a impartial observer. I think she will have like her own opinions and stuff and probably give it to us in whatever way she can. So intriguing. On the night we meet our main character, who is a debutante in high society in 1814. She is attending a ball in a beautiful gown and she's the life of the party. She's a very well-liked girl. But as the night goes on, her dress starts to disappear. It starts with the bottom of her skirt, but then it moves on to her gloves and her top of the dress. She escapes to the gardens where the rest of her gown completely disappears and she's left in her undergarments. So obviously very conspicuous situation to be in because if anyone stumbles upon her, it's going to be a massive scandal and she might be rejected from society and unable to get a husband or just exist in the society. Fortunately, who stumbles upon her is a duke that is a woman. She's the last heir of a house that suffered from immense losses of first the father of the house and then the remaining sons, and she was chosen as the duke to carry on the legacy. But because of that, she is kind of regarded as a witch, and the belief is that she murdered all of her brothers and her dad to get the house. So she's kind of on the outskirts of society. She kind of messes with our main character, pretends that she's not going to help her, but she does end up helping her. She gives her her coat and she drives her to her house in her carriage. We then kind of follow the fallout after that, and the cousin of the main character, Miss Mitchellmore, thinks that the Duke and Lady Georgiana has cursed her because she's a witch. But Miss Mitchellmore doesn't think so. She thinks that she's being cursed by someone that hates her. And you begin this hunt for a person that might want to take revenge on her and trying to figure out where this curse is coming from. But if I do say so myself, I think it's definitely a very supernatural thing. And maybe it's not even coming from anyone in the town. Okay, so obviously our main character is feeling a little bit attraction to the witch. She's only obviously perceived as a witch. We don't really know if she's an actual witch. I think not. But they are both feeling an attraction to each other, at least from what I can tell. And it is getting a little bit, you know, a little bit spicy. Not in the explicit sense, just like the tension and banter and teasing. It's really cute, but I actually wanted to make a dessert for myself because I've not had many good, I don't know, treats at the house, especially like with being sick and stuff. So I will be putting an audiobook on. I'm lucky this book is on Libby, so I'm able to listen to the audiobook through there and make a dessert. So let's start listening. Oh, Sense and Sensibility mention. I think I know what the curse will be or who has done the curse. I don't want to be too like fast with it, but I feel like I know what the plot twist will be. So I guess I'll see at the end when it is revealed. But if so, it's kind of sad because it's very easily deducible if I'm right. I am waiting to be surprised though. I hope I will be because I am enjoying the book, you know? So I do have to say the plot twist has happened. Plot twist, I don't know how to explain it. And it did end up being what I thought it was going to be. But I'm halfway through the book. So what's gonna happen? Like we found out the person that the curse has happened because of. It was who I thought it was gonna be, basically. And we still have 200 pages left. So I am stumped, but also kind of intrigued as to what's gonna happen. Obviously, we still have the romance part to like iron out and see that storyline through, but there's nothing kind of getting the plot going. There's like just a certain something, but I'm like, not gonna lie, this is not that much of a issue to get through as the curse was. And I'm just like, oh, what? But that's just my update for now. In this book, we are merely the observers, as we've said before. This is narrated by a third person, and I think because of that we lose a lot of intimate feelings. We don't really know the full range of them. We don't really know what's going on in each character's head, which did cause me to care less for them and their fates and the relationships. And because the romance aspect and the relationship aspect is the main focus of the second half of the book, I was very little engaged and I was relying on my audiobook to get me through it because I had no desire to see this story through, which is so sad because I really enjoyed the plot line of the first half, being the cursed debutante and trying to find out how this curse came about and why this seemingly innocent person is suffering through it. We miss a lot of the personal aspect of the stories since we don't know the internal feelings of the characters. And while we can see the relationship progress and we see the banter and tension and maybe the angst in it, we don't feel it in a way because we don't really know what's going on inside their heads. Like I said, it took me away from the story because we have to heavily rely on the plot line to get the story going and this book going. But I did really like the Bath setting, the English setting, very Regency and Bridgerton-esque world. And I liked how it was a mortal world. We only had like fantastical creatures or characters within it. The mortals were aware of this fantastical element of their world, but we're kind of avoiding it and pretending it doesn't exist. And like you saw, I did predict and I saw the plot twist coming, which that means the book is predictable, which prompts me to rate this book 3 stars. I'm pretty sad about it because I think the sapphic relationship could have been so good. They had so much going for them, and I think both the characters had some unique and interesting things about them. Obviously, Miss Mitchell-Moore is very naive and very innocent and just very new to everything, and she's, for the very first time, exploring these feelings for women and discovering that maybe she is not into men, and the counterpart of her romantic interest is very reserved and is kind of treating the romance as something very distant and doesn't want to fully commit in a way, but also can't stop herself from being drawn to Miss Mitchell-Moore and helping her. And I think they just had a good dynamic between them. It just could have been so good if we were in Miss Mitchell-Moore's head. We also had one trans character, but their storyline was very minor. I thought it was going to be a bigger part of the plot, but it did discuss transphobia and kind of solidified trans people in existing, which is a very important thing to do. I wish there could have been a bigger plot line. However, I probably won't be continuing this series because there's a second book. I don't really know what it is about because we did wrap up this whole plot and these characters and their fates. Maybe it's just a sequel of a different character from here getting their story. I just like that personality and personal touch of the story. Don't mind my hair, I just showered and I like to let my hair air dry when I have a curly, so it's still a bit wet. But for my second book, I'm going to be reading Feed Them Silence, which is a short horror story novella. I think it's going to be very interesting and unlike anything I've ever read before because the premise is that a researcher develops a way to link her mind and a wolf that allows her to translate the perceptions of the wolf to her own mind. And I just, it sounds so cool, and I've never really explored anything like that before. So let's get started. So we're first following the prep and what it takes to ensure the neural link between the wolf and the researcher and the procedure that the wolf had to go through, how it acted, and if it went well. In the 1 year earlier bit, we find out that this research follows after a climate degradation crisis where the environments were heavily affected, especially the habitats that the animals live in. We find out that the researcher's wife is actually very opposed to the research and says that it's immoral and very weird to be taking the money from like big corporations that don't care about the environment and they just want something cool to focus on and not actually care for the environment and help the environment. They just want this research to look good, basically. But our main character, Sean, she has been obsessed with wolves since she's been a little girl, and she's never told anyone this, but the research was actually inspired by the fact that she's always wanted to be one of the pack, wanted to run with the wolves. So she's getting these data to supposedly help the environment, help the animals, and try to figure out how to help the climate change. But deep down, it's about her own desires to be a wolf, basically, and feel that like unguarded love and protection from the pack. I'm actually surprised that this is a kind of dystopia, near future setting. I wasn't expecting that. And I think it makes it so much cooler. They're about to connect their minds. She has to like sit in a special chair, connect all the freaking wires to her head. She has to be strapped in. Ooh, okay. I'm very interested to see how they're gonna transport the data and how she's gonna see it. And yeah. Feed Them Silence is definitely more of a literary fiction piece than strictly horror, set in a modern, near-future world, exploring conservation, environmental protection, and understanding animals, and towing the line between exploitation and conservation, which I think is a very great topic. I don't see it explored much in literature, which I really enjoyed in this book. Our main character, Sean, becoming so obsessed with her wolf, Kate, is reflective of her inner turmoil. She's able to become someone else for a while, seeking connection outside of her personal life, which is crumbling, linking with her wolf to the point where she didn't know who she was outside of it and how to live life without being connected to someone else in that way. We follow this slow descent into deep loneliness, which our main character is unable to fill in any other way outside of the connection with her wolf. She is essentially slipping through the cracks, ignoring everything else in her life, ignoring everyone, and also leading to changes in herself, her abilities, without the thoughts of another. I absolutely loved it and I rated it 4 stars. In a way, I think it captures that emptiness in the absence of your own community, feelings of alienation and isolation caused by the inability to relate to others, and the pure longing for connection and the desire to be known and seen fully. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and combining that with the environmental collapse. I think this book is a great piece and I thoroughly enjoyed my journey. I will definitely be reading the other book by this author, which is Summer Sons, which I also wanted to read already, and I didn't even realize it was the same author. For some other recommendations of books by trans authors for focusing on transitioning and trans people, I would recommend The Transition Baby and Stag Dance. For a fantasy / horror, definitely would reach for The Spirit Bears Its Teeth. For straight horror, probably You Weren't Meant to Be Human. And for straight fantasy, The Empress of Salt and Fortune. For a non-fiction book, I really want to read Page Boy by Elliot Page. Obviously, I have been following their career from the start. I used to be obsessed with Beyond Two Souls, and I absolutely loved the acting the actor brought, and obviously Juno and all the other movies they were in, absolutely phenomenal. So I am definitely very curious as to what they have to say in their book. Some other books I want to read are These Violent Delights, Stand Broken, and The Dawn Hounds. Very interested in those. I have so many more. But let me know what you guys are reading this trans rights readathon, and I hope you guys enjoyed your reads. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!